divas, dudes, and dolls. I'm Kira Couture, and welcome to my snappy, snide, and snuggly little review show, Very Slay, where we go over the fits and fashions of Drag Race Belgique Season 2. I'm particularly cold today, so you are getting layers and comfort and a stamped mug, and you'll take it. For those who aren't familiar with this very original format by now, whenever I see a look and I think it's just fine, we give it an okay. If I love it, we give it a slay. If I don't, we give it an A. And if you want to get in on even more of the Very Slay action, be sure to hit that darling little subscribe button so you can catch up on Very Slay episodes for UK vs. the World, Season 16, and España All-Stars. And I hope you're all so ready, because basically starting on Friday, there will be one video a day, maybe even 2 videos a day in some instances, for every day for the next 6 weeks. Don't say I'm not feeding you with content out there, because I'm giving you a whole bunch of it. Just for the sake of time, because I'm now doing 4 seasons concurrently, I'm not going to talk about their talent show outfits. We will just talk about the entrances and the main stage. But we had some special guests hit the main stage, who I don't know anything about because I haven't watched the first season of Belgique. Let's do those rapid fire, shall we? First up, Brittany von Botox. Nay. Amanda Tears. Nay. Edna Sorgelson. Nay. Not off to a great start, these Season 1 girls. Mocha Bonet. Nay. Am I gonna like any of these? Oh my, this might be the harshest I've been in an episode of any of this. I don't like any of the looks in the Season 1 cast so far, holy moly. Balenciaga. Okay, there, that's some progress. Peach. Slay. Mademoiselle Boop. Slay. Susan. Slay. Athena Sorgevikis. Slay. Drag Queen. Okay, for me, out of those, Susan, that look was nuts. The fact that the giant shoulders were denim, of all things, I had no idea until it got up close. I would have never guessed that that was made out of that material. It looks so good. That excited me. Okie dokie. With the Season 1 queens out of the way, let's start getting into our Season 2 girls. Starting off with Sarah Logan. With her entrance look, I actually really thought that this ostrich boa moment, the way it was structured from the front, looked really, really cool. I like this color palette. You know, I'm always gonna be partial to a blue, pink, and silver or white kind of combination because, the look itself I wasn't crazy about. I thought it was good fabric choices in terms of the sequin. I think it really does sell her as a musical theater, cabaret style performer. I got that from her immediately, but I think just the overall silhouette of the base garment really wasn't my favorite. I really didn't like where things were cut, especially with the pink aspect of it. So for me, I would say this is just okay. Her national downpour look, however, I really like. It feels really campy, but still quite fashionable. I really like the umbrella headpiece with the dangling raindrop crystal chains. I think that's always a nice touch when you do a rain look with something like that. It really adds a lot of sense of movement to a fabric and an outfit that could end up reading really stiff really fast. I think my favorite part of the whole thing are the coattails on this. It's such an interesting silhouette and such a strange shape, but I think it works really well. And having the pink offset with the black, overall, I think this is a really strong opening for her. So for me, overall, I think for her episode, I'm gonna give her a slay. Next up is Alvida. Her entrance look, one of my favorites out of all of the 9. I love the print on this dress. It's definitely custom painted, but it looks gorgeous. The silhouette is perfect for her body. Love her makeup, love her hair. I thought this was a really strong way to introduce her to the audience, and just based off of what she said about her drag and her style as an artist in this entrance look, kind of sold me on her. I'm very interested in what she's going to do, and I really enjoy her perspective of she just wants to constantly try different styles but be good at all of it and just look good consistently. And I feel like it's quite relatable. Obviously on a much smaller scale for what I'm doing, but yeah, I really enjoyed her entrance look a lot. For her national downpour look, I really like the garment itself. I love that the tights are sparkly. I really like the textures of all the different fabrics going on in this look. I think just the garment itself is really nice. The way that this skirt is cut is gorgeous, and I really like that she has like umbrella detailing and that sort of like metallic boning structure in the skirt. She really does look like a broken umbrella that's caught in a storm. The one thing I don't like about this is the hair. I think it's an interesting idea, and I really like how it's wrapped around, especially around the bodice, but I think the hair that's like actually on her head and the way it hits her face is just really not flattering. And if you're gonna do like a wet hair look, especially with hair that's not a natural color, personally for me, I don't like wet hair in drag. I just don't think it looks very nice. And here I think is a good case as to why it doesn't, because most of the time when I've seen it done and done like decently, it's with a human unit. And this is clearly synthetic. And my God, it just looks like wet plastic. It does not look like hair. It's just not flattering. And I don't really understand the color choice outside of maybe she wanted it to really pop against the black of the outfit, but it doesn't really go with the makeup. I think it's overall just kind of an odd choice. However, the garment itself is great, and I loved her first look, so I'm still gonna give her a slay. Next up is Star. Her entrance look, I didn't like the feathers. I liked the fabric treatment, I liked the hair, I liked the color palette with the orange and the tans overall. There were just some odd choices made with where the feathers were placed that I personally really didn't like. She had a couple of really solid elements, but the whole thing, when you look at it in the full shot, and I just wasn't a fan of it. Her national downpour look, I hate the pre-reveal with the umbrella and the large coat. I think it just looks too plain. It doesn't really say anything about the theme other than it's an umbrella and I'm in the storm. However, what I do really love about this is this jacket and hair combo. I think if you're gonna do wet hair, I think a way to elevate that look without it necessarily being a wet style is doing this like really sculpted look with rhinestones on top of it. I think this is a great wig choice for this runway, and the real star of this, no pun intended, for me is this jacket, because the print on it is great, but the fact that the jacket is cut to have raindrops like built into the structure of it in terms of like along the hemline, oh, I've never seen anything like that on a jacket before. I thought it looked really fabulous. I didn't really care for her entrance look, and when I look at all the different parts of her national downpour look, outside of the hair and this jacket, I really don't like anything else that she presented on the runway that much, so I think an okay is fair for her. Up next is Madame Yoko. Now, her entrance look, I think the dress itself had a lot of really cute details when you got up close to it, but the overall silhouette is so ready to wear. Such a walking around look, this entire thing. I did not like the hair color. I didn't really like the makeup with this either. I just think that the color choices were a little odd. It's just really not there for me. Her runway look, another one, I just didn't like this. I didn't like this at all. I'm not really sure what the second look is supposed to be in reference to, if it's supposed to be kind of like a little Girl Scout moment, if it's a military moment. I like the silhouette of the coat. It's got a fun shape to it, especially along the hem. I didn't like the pre-reveal coat, this giant cloud poncho thing. I didn't really think that it looked all that good. Embellishing an outfit to make it look like it's caught in the rain and like frozen in time, you have to have the right size stones, you have to have the right placement, and the right pattern. So it doesn't look like calculated, it doesn't look pre-designed. You want it to look really organic. This looks like very predetermined, very designed. It doesn't look organic. And that's the problem. And on top of that, I really didn't like that the stones only went about halfway down the coat and then they just stopped. Overall, I think I'm gonna give her a nay this episode. Up next is Gabbana. Her entrance look, this outfit, at least the front part of it, I would wear a million times over. It was such a good silhouette, really clean lines throughout the construction of it. It just looked great on her. I loved the black with the gold detailing, the spiked shoulder, this little blonde hair moment. It was really cute. It was very much giving me a little bit Mugler, which I'm always going to be here for. And I did appreciate the little surprise twist of the little star cutout on the butt. I think a cutout like that would be pretty hard to do and hard to place in just a perfect way like it was. So whoever designed this did a fantastic job. It looks great. As for her national downpour look, I really enjoyed this a lot too. I really liked that she went with the clear vinyl for the coat and with this long train. It really sold this idea of rain and water and wetness, and it had this like really natural kind of fluid sense to it that I enjoyed a lot. I think the deconstructed Belgian flag as the cone bra and the thong is an interesting idea. And on top of that, I loved her makeup. And if you're gonna do wet hair on the runway and it's not gonna be a sculpted look, it's gonna be something that's a little more loose and natural, this is how you do it. This to me looked like she just came in out from the rain, which is the effect she's trying to go for. Overall for me, she's gonna get a slay this episode. Up next we have La Veuve. I love this queen. She's so funny. I will say her talent show performance, I was cackling. So good. Her entrance look, I actually thought this was kind of cute. It's nothing we haven't seen before, a little BDSM latexy moment. Love her makeup, love the shoes. I'm always here for a thigh-high boot moment, especially if it's a platform. I think it looks good, and I really like how much real estate she gives herself between her eyes and her eyebrows. I think it really allows her to lift everything in her face and give her a really bright expression all the time, which I think is very fun. Her National Downpour runway, had the reveals worked as planned, it would have been a much stronger presentation. What really sold the coat to me was how odd the proportions were. It really took it out of just being a coat and took it into like a costume drag energy that I really appreciated. And I really liked the final look after the reveal where it becomes a giant skirt with all of the drapey jewels and the really large necklace. The short wet hair looks good for this look and it makes a lot of sense. Overall, I'm gonna give her a slay this episode. Up next is Lulu Velvet. Personally, I really only liked her hair and the section of her outfit that was like from the bust line to the neckline, where it was like a clear vinyl that was covered in glitter. That looked so effective on camera. You can really see in that she comes from this burlesque background, which is like the really little touches and attention to detail things. I'm excited to see how that's gonna play out over the season. But the rest of the look, outside of it being in a velvet, which I thought was a nice touch, I didn't really care for the silhouette of the dress. I didn't care for the hood overcoat thingy that she had with it. I think it really swallowed her up and made her look really tiny. Her National Downpour runway, I liked before she took it off. The backwards coat idea was really cool. I liked the little raindrops dangling from the hem. I really liked the inverted nature of it, how oversized it was. And again, she's got those really small little eye for detail things throughout this too that I personally thought looked really good. And then she took it off and it was just like a burlesque reveal outfit with the sun. And I didn't really think it was all that great personally. I think overall for me, I'm just gonna give her an okay. She's like Star, she's got elements of both of her looks that I really like, but the parts that I find weaker ultimately weigh both of them down. Alright, up next is Chloe Clark. Again, another one of the best entrances for me. I loved this green butterfly fantasy, the silhouette of this, how exaggerated it is, the level of detail and stoning throughout, the hair choice, all of it immaculate. One of the best entrance looks I think I've ever seen in any season of Drag Race, in all honesty. That's how much I liked it. It's gonna be one that sticks with me for quite a long time. Her National Downpour look, I think is a bit of a stretch for the theme. I don't really necessarily see the looks as raindrops right away, but the fabric treatment on this is so cool. And I love her makeup. I think she's my favorite face of this season. In terms of makeup, I just really like the proportions of everything. And even if I don't think that this look is necessarily the best of the theme, the silhouette on this is nuts. And the whole look overall, when it rounded the corner, if I was just going off of just the looks outside of the themes, this would be my favorite one so far, just based on pure aesthetics over anything else. Very well designed. Everything visually, from a composition perspective and a design perspective, makes sense. I just don't necessarily think that they read as raindrops as they're intended to. I feel like this was a look that she'd have to explain how it fit the theme, but I think both of her looks she presented between the two that we're talking about here were fantastic in their own right, and I'm gonna give her a slay. And finally, we have Morphe, who I have to say, this entrance look is bonkers. The hair is wild. I love that she has the little butterfly in the hair. It's a really nice touch. And I think coming in looking completely unhinged like this, but still with this really well done suit that is kind of sinewy, but also with fur. I didn't expect that. I think the one thing that I was able to really put together after seeing all the entrance looks together once Morphe joined the group is that each and every one of these queens this season is so wildly different from each other in terms of aesthetics, in terms of point of view, and I'm very here for that. that's honestly great casting. She's definitely so far in this first episode getting branded as kind of like the oddball one who nobody gets. Sometimes that does really well for storylines, so I'm here for that. But I really enjoy her perspective a lot. It's so different, and I find it really interesting. Her runway look, this is easily my favorite use of the stoning as raindrops embellishment effect, because even though there is like that level of design into where they're placed, it still feels really natural and really organic. I think it looks fantastic. It's a really simple silhouette, but it's the detailing on this that really takes it to the next level. Can we also take a second to talk about the stoned veil? The stoning on the coat is great, and that's one thing, but the stoning on this veil, holy moly, that's immaculate. This is just so good. I hadn't seen the back of this yet when I first talked about it, so I didn't even realize that the stoning, it's not even on the coat, on the shoulders. It's on another like sheer veil piece over the coat. So it has that effect of the rain kind of floating a little bit off the fabric, but then when she turns, the whole thing moved. Y'all, Miss Morphe, I think she's gonna be my pick to win. I find her very exciting, so I'm ready to see what she's gonna do next. Definitely a slay. And with that, it's time to pick our slay of the day, which will be going into a post-crowning countdown video across all of my favorite looks from Drag Race Belgique Season 2 to pick my ultimate slay of the season, which I will then do a full illustration of. There was a number of looks that I really liked this episode that I thought were really interesting, great ideas, or just really well done. Once again, I'm gonna have to give my slay of the day to Morphe. What a nice little poem, specifically for her National Downpour look. I was really impressed with this episode and really impressed with this crop of queens. Y'all, I definitely slept on Drag Race Belgique Season 1, and I'm kind of regretting it. So maybe after Season 2 is done, I'll go back and do Season 1. I will at some point. And that's gonna be it for me today. If you wanna support the content and everything that's coming out this month, there's a whole heck of a lot of it, you can always send me a digital tip via Venmo or PayPal. Those links are in the description below. Feel free to join us live over on Twitch for my Persona 3 Reload playthrough as it happens in the moment before I put it over here on YouTube, and some shiny hunting and a bunch of other things. And feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz as well. Let me know what your favorite look was out of this cast. Before I bid you all farewell today, be sure to go out there and stay kind, stay queer, and make sure your day is very slay.